back into practice now.
Thank you so
Jeffrey McMahon off in the Super Cup replica. Just a second there. It looks like our 150 friend did decide to put it back in the race paddock.
I know. I think we may have one landing. I saw another 172 coming in. No, we're not.
Sorry, I was just not talking. I'm trying to figure out that he's not in the highlight sheets. I was just trying to find something about it.
Really fighting the wind as he comes in, and the wind just kind of fell out from under him, and you saw how that airplane just dropped.
Dropped onto giant pillows.
And, yeah, giant pillows, that's right. Looks like 31s on that airplane, so it wasn't much of a jolt in that airplane, but it definitely came down.
Stephen Bloomquist coming in, kind of base to final now, dropping down below the trees there. And if I'm not mistaken, flying a Cessna 180, a little bit extra energy, getting those brakes working, sliding a lot. And so
we have another one coming in on long final.
We still do have competitors coming in from across the country. Obviously, that weather system that came in the last couple days contributing to people not making. You heard Scott Sweet say, can't make it. It couldn't make it in last night. Followed in with Brian Shirley.
Which really adds to the challenges of these events is when you fly across the country. It's like I was talking to Colin Kenevia earlier today, there's always weather somewhere. And when you've got competitors coming from all over the country, someone's going to have to deal with it. That's inevitably across the route.
And that's something that you'll see with some of the more unlimited class competitors. They'll actually trailer their aircraft in because they don't want to miss a competition.
Right.
You don't have to worry about getting weathered out. You can get yourself to the air park, the competition. But then also, separately, part of it is with a lot of these Yamaha motors, maybe they might be tuned to be running like race fuel versus like standard 100 low lead or MoGas. And I've talked to Steve Henry's crew chief last year. He's saying, yeah, like our gas is like $25 a gallon or something like that. So it's not cost effective to fly a plane geared to fly slow all the way across the country. So all of those things working together. But if you trail it, you never miss one, right? You can just drive in.
Never miss one. Steve pulls it with his motorhome, so he gets to sleep in his own bed.
Right. Looks like a brand new paint job on that 180 flown by Bloomquist.
Steve's local to my area.
First takeoff for Steve was 450 feet with a scratch on the landing. Little back taxi action going on now. Get some folks repositioned. And we'll see when it gets closer, but I think we might have Nick Ardillo in this next heat of practice. Followed by Jeff McMahon and Steven Bloomquist. Eddie Sanchez, by the way, if you look at our practice standings, with the current best score,
so Carbon Cub. All right, we got the Carbon Cub spooling up. Lifts that tail right off the ground. Pulls a little early. Causes him to bounce it several times down the runway. Each time it slows him down, or it really doesn't slow him down, but he loses a little bit of energy each time that happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll get that timing down as the practice session wears on for him.
And there's Jeff McMahon. I was wrong. I think it was okay. I said it could be Nick Ardillo, because Nick Ardillo also flies a red and white Carbon Cub, but that was actually Christian Fisher in race number 181 from Dodge City, Kansas. There's Bloomquist in the 180. Going to be fighting against the likes of Brandon Korn.
Yes.
Big airplanes. Big airplanes against big airplanes, and little airplanes against little airplanes. That's how we do it here at National STOL. Someone make that into a T-shirt. It wasn't that good of a joke. It was not that great of a joke, but we're just running with it here in practice in Oklahoma.
Yeah, with just 3 airplanes in the pattern, you get a little bit of a lull, or break in the action, as they say. And here we come around base to final. He's going to drop it down and just kind of drag it in, which seems to be the preferred technique today.
Just heard from race control that we've got 2 hours left to practice. So if you're watching at home and you're near Semper Fi landing, come check us out. Come watch more practice action. We'd love to have you. And if you're watching at home on your computer and you're not near Pocola, Oklahoma, share it with your friends. Show them how cool STOL flying is. Again, this is just practice, but it's so great to see so many planes flying at one time, people putting all their best efforts into flying, and especially today with some really challenging conditions. We talked about density, altitude. We talked about the crosswinds. Feeling a nice breeze over the broadcast trailer now.
And the wind fell out from under him again. He's trying to pull that in as slow as he possibly can. When he gets a little drop in that gust, down it comes, and he landed 30 feet short of the line. That's why they call it practice.
That's why they call it practice.
Now we've got Steve on a long, low final. He's getting that 180 slowed down, just feet above the runway, inches above the runway, and down on the runway.
And down well is short, but a really beautiful landing.
Yes.
And if anyone wants to buy me one, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and if I could only own one airplane, which of course we're all going to own multiples, right? But if I could only own one airplane, I think the 180 would be it for me, right?
Would be high on the list, huh?
No, it's a decent cruise speed, can hold the whole family, or at least my whole family, carry some gear and still land backcountry, but you can still go places in it. I think the challenge for me as like a dad with 2 young kids is if I were to invest in something like a MOAC, which is the kind of epitome of short field performance, it's going to take me longer to get somewhere.
Right.
My kids are going to go, Dad! Well, I also can't carry 2 kids in the back of a MOAC, but... So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more practice here at Arklahoma.
At Aerolids, we believe that innovation is equal parts inspiration and perspiration. Since our inception in 2006, we embarked on a mission to redefine the expectations of aerospace lighting. Entering the aerospace lighting market, which had remained largely unchanged for 50 years and in drastic need of a new product with fresh look and unequaled performance, Aerolids was inspired to redefine the expectations, which resulted in a series of innovative designs. Hungry for new ideas, backed by a company that valued the patronage, customers quickly adopted the new standard of quality, design, and performance never seen before in the industry. Over the past 12 years, Aerolid's installation, ranging from the experimental and 23 markets up to the space and military applications, with over 15 tactical military platforms featuring products in both overt and covert operations. Aerolids continues to lead the industry in design, reliability, and unsurpassed performance. Unique in its presence and unmatched in its perseverance, Aerolids serves the aviation market from one spectrum to the next. From you to you too, Aerolids is redefining the expectations.
Basically, every time I do an install, I go in and I download all of the latest manuals to make sure that everything's interconnected correctly. We don't miss anything. We don't miss any on-off switches, any warning lights.
Sarasota was created actually back in the 70s, but we and Bert and Vince, my 2 partners, they've sold their business to Ryan and Sean, which is my 2 other partners now. We started around in 1999, 2000. Just had one little spot in this hangar, and we've built it up from there. So we've been here for 23 years now. And then we have 5 facilities now here in the state of Florida. First starts in Tampa, Sarasota. Venice here is our main headquarters, and we have Punta Gorda and then Fort Lauderdale, Lantana. Then we have partners in Brazil, South Africa, Greece, Tullahoma, Tennessee, all over the world. We're the largest Garmin dealer in the world, so that's probably what we've been known for. So we do more installs on aircraft, general aviation, anything really under 10,000 pounds than anybody else in the world. So, and we've been that for quite a few years now.
Well, a friend of mine, actually it was Corey Robin, told me about these flying eyes glasses while we were at Oshkosh. We went and checked them out, and they're awesome. But what I really like is the glasses themselves. They're very light. The earpieces are real thin and flexible, so you don't even know you have them on under a headset. If I put my headset on, I mean, they're just as comfortable as could be, and they're so thin, I can actually take them on and off without removing my headset. I couldn't do that with my other glasses. And then the other really cool thing about these, they make some awesome sunglasses, but they have these cool sunglass lenses that just snap on. So now instead of having to carry a big extra glass case in my pocket, that's all I got to carry to take my sunglasses with me. So there's several things about them that I'm really, really liking. Flying eyes. Awesome glasses.
And we are back here in Oklahoma for Arklahoma STOL. And we got to talk about more of our local sponsors. First and foremost, let's thank Bullfrog Bouncers, Central National Bank, Grand Savings Bank, Hug and Haul, Metroplex Builders, Moore Contracting Company, Red's Premier Outdoor Equipment, and River Valley Fencing. And folks, if you look to your left, if you're in the crowd, we've got an aircraft that's turning base to final now. Flaps down, nice landing light action. Always nice to have a little more visibility on the wing. And that's the 180 that I wish someone would buy me. Really close to the left side of the runway. Getting it down good over the line. A lot of energy to get stopped. Again, that's not uncommon for a large aircraft like the 180. He's blowing the hats off some of the line judges there with the prop wash. Here comes Christian Fisher in race 181 in that Carbon Cub. While he taxis back, I want to thank one of our sponsors, Ladd Gardner Insurance. Ladd Gardner has been a partner of National STOL since the beginning. They have excellent customer service and coverage. Ladd Gardner, aviation protected. Also talk about Lift Aviation USA. Lift's love for flying drives them to deliver only the finest in aviation products to market. They believe that today's pilot deserves much more than what is currently offered in the way of products they wear in the cockpit. Lift Aviation is bridging that gap and making products that are stronger and lighter that you can trust. Lift Aviation provides 2 helmets available to borrow for rookies who are needing them. And they offered gift certificates to each class winner at every event this year. That's pretty crazy. That's awesome. So thank you very much for Lift Aviation USA for that, and Ladd Gardner Insurance for their support as well. Christian Fisher now on the line in that Cub Crafters Carbon Cub EX2, all the way from Dodge City, Kansas. Getting that tail up. Pulling it back and nursing those flaps out. Take a look at the flags, all the sponsors that support us send flags. Watch them and use them as a little bit of a metric of what's happening across the wings of the aircraft as they take off. Jeff McMahon in 922. Off and good. Steven Bloomquist in the 180. Best score so far, a combined score of 850 feet. As they come around in the traffic pattern, I want to talk a little bit more about eSTOL. We talked about it a couple hours ago when practice started, but eSTOL, we have National eSTOL, which is a way for you to get involved in STOL at home at your very own computer. You can compete against each other in Microsoft Flight Simulator at all the events that we have on this, let's call it the IRL, the real-life stole competitions. They're recreated faithfully digitally, and people compete in them. And just last weekend, I believe we were doing Moses Lake, the air show that we're going to be competing at in a few weeks. They were at Moses Lake digitally and competing that way. Go to nationalstole.com and click on chat there to get brought into the Discord server. And from there, you can learn about e-stole. It's something that I actually dropped the gauntlet and said, you know what? I think I've got to do this e-stole thing. I'll come in, and the fans, the viewers at home, can pick the aircraft for me. And they picked the GB. So that'll probably do real well, stole-wise. I don't know if the GB would actually fit into a national stole class, but we'll give it a go. Christian Fisher now turning base to final. And while he's doing that, Christine is in the race paddock with another one of our competitors.
Hey Ryan, we are here with Dan Reynolds, and Dan came from a long way away, and he didn't fly down here. He drove down here and then assembled his plane. However, yesterday, after this assembly, what happened?
So, just to clear the record, I didn't drive all the way from my home here. I flew airlines down to Dallas. So the drive up here is actually not bad. It's about like 5.5 hours. So that was.
But where are you originally from?
I'm from the Yukon up in Dawson City. So yeah, that took me a day and a half, almost 2 days just to get down to Dallas. So it is a journey, but I'm glad to be here. So yeah, my plane stays down here at a friend's place, and I keep in the trailer. And I always just put it in storage, take the engine off for the hauling. It rides a lot better in the trailer. And the last event I was down at Sun and Fun, so that's a pretty good haul. So yeah, it rode fine, and everything's fine. So I get here, put the thing all together, starts right up like normal, everything's great. Then I go to take off, and it won't develop full power. So, okay, so it's a troubleshooting process. So I had a friend of mine, Chris, we had it down here, and we were checking everything, trying to figure out what it was, and I mean, we checked about everything we could and just couldn't find it. So we blew all the lines out, cleared all the jets that we could see, and just didn't make any sense, but I knew it was a fuel issue. Just at full throttle, it wasn't getting enough fuel. As when I put the enricher on, it would pick up, so you know it's a fuel. It's not something internally in the engine. So I decided, well, it was running better, but still not quite right. So I thought, I've got lots of room here. I'll go to the far end, take off. I can always shut down. It's nice and safe. So I did 2 circuits, and it was running better, but it still wasn't quite right. So I pulled it up here, and I thought, it's got to be something in the carburetors. So make a long story short, I decided I was going to pull everything that's possible out of the carburetors and check it. And the first carburetor I pulled apart, pulled the main body out that holds the main jet in, and there was a culprit staring me right in the face. It was a little chunk of paper towel that had gotten down in there, and I thought, how did that ever get there? But back it up, it was pilot error. I don't like to get dirt in them, so in my haste, I stuck paper towel down the top of the carbs when I pull them apart to pull the engine. And theoretically that should be great, but there must have been a little chunk that had tore off, fell down onto the throat of the carb, and then when you put the body back together, there's a needle that goes down in that jet, and it's like a pin, so it probably hooked that little piece of paper towel, pushed it down in.
And it looks like we lost Christine and Dan out in the field, but learned a lot about engines just then, And I guess you don't put paper towel in them. No, it makes sense why you would do that. But just an unfortunate thing you had to solve tomorrow or yesterday. What day is it? I don't even know. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of practice here at Arklahoma Stole at Patriot Air Park, just outside of Pocola, Oklahoma. And I'm so excited to be here again. My name's Ryan Dabrowski. I'm joined today by Christine Boggy, who was just interviewing Dan Reynolds from the pits. And we are in the middle of practice.
I don't really need to practice. I would like to practice for the camera.
Yeah.
But
At the competition.
I also don't want to risk anything. And with being the lightest wing loading around here, it's going to get kicked around in that gusty crosswind. The takeoff, I'm not worried about. I have lots of power; it'll fly away. But the landing, if I don't dare slow it down, so it's not going to be that impressive anyway. Because if I do and I get the wrong gust, it's going to be a handful. So I might wait for tomorrow. If it's going to blow like this tomorrow, if it's race day, I'll go. But right now, Hal and I are just watching everybody else.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, thank you so much, Dan. Back to you, Ryan.
Thanks so much, Christine. And Dan, I selfishly, I'd love to see you fly to this because it's fun, but don't do it for me. Don't do it for me, Dan. We are getting ready to take a short break here at practice, but before we do, just want to remind everyone they can go to nationalstol.com/vote. That's nationalstol.com/vote to vote for their favorite pilot. And then, be sure to check out if you're here in Oklahoma. We've got Flying Eyes, we've got Patriot Aircraft, we've got Pappy Arrow, we've got the National Stol merch booth. I'm going to see if I can score. We've got these great red button-downs. I want to see if I can score one for the competition tomorrow. So check that out. Or if you want to buy it online, nationalstol.com, you can get all your National Stol merch. So that's another way to get involved and help the sport. We were talking about eStol as a thing that you could do. We're actually going to be at Flight Sim Expo in Vegas. So this thing is escalated quickly. Elevated quickly? Elevatored quickly? Anyway, eStol, great thing that we're doing right now digitally. You can come and compete. We'd love to have you join that. And check them out at Flight Sim Expo in Vegas in just a couple weeks. Also want to thank one of our sponsors. That's USATrailersDirect.com. We are actually live streaming from the USA Trailers Direct trailer. Say that 5 times fast. That's where they've provided this trailer for us here at National Stol, so we can broadcast this to you. And this production trailer that USA Trailers Direct provided is making the trip, and we'll actually be live streaming the eStol competition from the convention floor. How cool is that? So really cool thing that we're doing there in eStol. Like I said, I'm going to, try to compete in BG. We're taking a short break right now so the volunteers can get some water and stay hydrated in this heavy, high heat. And we'll be back with you in just a few minutes here at Arklahoma Stol. So let's go over to commercials, and we'll be back again here from Arklahoma Stol.
It's a kind of a different experience buying a Legend Cub because you're buying from the owners of the company. You're going to meet everybody that's going to work with you ahead of time. They're experts at every little facet of it. You pretty much can do as much of the aircraft as you're capable, and they'll kind of hold your hand through the rest of it. So I couldn't recommend it higher than truly a wonderful experience. You show up and you watch how all the fuselages are all TIG welded, and their processes are second to none. They build by far the nicest airplane, lightest componentry, great styling. Ron, their painter, is spectacular. It's not like any other buying experience. You are truly buying into a family. A lot of longtime employees. I'm friends with a lot of the guys that helped build my airplane. Legend Cub owners typically buy an airplane and never sell that airplane. You won't find very many of them used for sale on the market. I think you get a slightly different owner with a Legend Cub. It's not just an airplane to them. It's a piece of art. It's a piece of them. It's custom designed and built for them. Any option you want is available. Hard to get much better than this.
The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. With each new adventure, another page is written, another story etched upon the soul. It is time to embrace the uncharted, the extraordinary. It's not the years in your life that count, but the life in your years.
At Pappy Arrow, we take pride in being the curators of aviation with our line of high-quality washes and waxes. Proudly made in the USA, we believe in preserving our aircraft to be passed down to the next generation of aviators and caretakers. But our mission goes far beyond the horizon. That's why we are proud to dedicate 10% of every sale towards aviation scholarship programs that empower and uplift the next generation of pilots. Visit us today at pappyarrow.com and get the best fly. Use the coupon code National STOL for 15% off at checkout.
Justin is putting down improving scores every time, and he's dedicating himself to the sport this year, from my understanding, and that's exciting to see. If you want a really relatable story, start following some of these rookies now at the start of the season and see what they do through the end.
Yeah, I've really only been able to practice for about 5 months in the airplane that I built. And so the Zenith 750, it's a hand-built airplane that they sell. It comes match hole drilled, and you get all the pieces, like a big Lego kit. Yeah, a lot of people know I fly an auto conversion, and so I have a Honda 1.5-inch engine for Viking aircraft engines. It's different, you know, I don't run on avgas, I run on regular unleaded, and has a gearbox, all that stuff, and so it's been fun, and so I've been learning it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's been awesome. Aviation gives you a family. When you come into this world, you have a family, right? For me, aviation has kind of been my pickup family. You know, I don't have a lot of family still out there, and so the first event that I came to, they took me in, started talking to me like I'd known them for years. And what I've noticed is that's just how aviation is in general. Everyone struggled somewhere in their life to get into aviation. You didn't have enough money, you didn't have the training. And so I want people to know that, man, I did it. You can do it. I don't care about first place, third place. I want that most improved. I know it sounds silly, but for me that means, man, we've got something that I'm gonna wear around with pride and just say, look, man, I was there. I know you're scared to maybe get out here and compete, get there, because you never know where you're gonna be. My name is Justin Tisdale. I'm flying a Zenith 750, flying in the Spark class.
So my name is Lexi Duncan. I am the official line boss of the National STOL Series. I have no idea how I worked my way into that title, but been here the whole season, so here we are. Yeah, so I'm an airport supervisor back in Virginia, and I'm a pilot myself. I fly pretty much anything I can get my hands on. Whatever's available, I'll take it. It's been so fun. I feel like our weather, the wind, has just been so tough every single time. It's always something. It's always something. It's either too much or not enough, and it's kind of hard to do a good STOL event with that, but those guys make it work, and they make it work well. I mean, it is so fun to watch. I love the rivalries. Those always give me a good time out on the line, and being on the line, I mean, I got the best seat in the house, so it's good. It's awesome. For me, if I'm pulling them up to the line, I'm looking at their mains and making sure nobody's getting too far back or too far forward, you know, not giving up a foot or not cheating a foot. Sometimes they try. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, making sure they get up on the line spot on so that all the scoring's fair for everybody. And same thing when they land, making sure they're not landing before the line. If they're on it, great for them. But I'm calling it good, or I'm calling it a scratch, or I'm saying I don't know. Because sometimes those guys, I mean, they have so much skill in them, they'll land right on it. And sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Oh, they hate it so much, and I mean, I take it personally. You know, I hate to see my favorite people scratch, and they do it, and it happens, and it's so painful. It's so painful to see. I hate doing it, but you know, they get just as excited when they have a good landing. So I think it all balances out. It's okay. The first thing that comes to my mind is 3 weeks ago, Jeff Pohl in Minnesota just kept hitting stuff. because he puts all this stuff on his airplane and he doesn't know the size of it. He hits cones, he hits flags, he just, he does it all. And that probably made me laugh the most out of anything that's gone on. Swamp STOL overall was just chaotic because it was so muddy. That sticks out in my mind. It's always something. We either got mud, dust, sun, too much sun, anything. But yeah, Jeff Pohl, he'll give you a good laugh. Fan favorites, easily the Jeff Pohl and Micah Lindstrom rivalry. That always gets everybody. Colin Kaniva, definitely a crowd favorite. Steve, we can't miss Steve. Hal, shoot. There's so many good ones. Brian's one of my favorites. Rick Boardman has been killing it. The way he put out an aisle, that was awesome. That was so awesome to see. So consistent, so awesome. He just makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
Oh, he makes it look so easy. He flies that carbon cub like it's nothing. But yeah, I'd say everybody's favorite's probably Steve just because of what he can do. But he's so humble and so awesome. It's great. Man, I just want to see this organization continue to grow and continue bringing awareness to what we're doing because, shoot, when I first started flying, I didn't know this was a thing. I had I'd never flown a fat tower airplane, and, the first time I did and started coming to these events, it was just, that was it. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing with my life, and, the fact that this organization has done so much and brings a different side of aviation to so many people, whether they're in aviation or not. That's the beauty of it. It's intriguing, it's interesting, and it's so fun regardless. And I just want to see the organization continue to grow. And even just looking at what was going on a year ago compared to what we are now is so phenomenal. So I'm ecstatic to see what happens in the next 12 months, 24 months, continue going on. I can't wait.
And we are back here in Pocola, Oklahoma. I'm Ryan Dombrowski, and we're getting ready for more practice sessions here at Patriot Air Park on Semper Fi Landing. Competitors taking a quick break, volunteers taking a quick break for the heat and the humidity. And if you're watching at home, we'd love to answer any questions you have. Just type them in the chat. I want to give you a little preview of what's to come this season. Check us out next up, June 14th and 16th at Moses Lake Air Show in Moses Lake, Washington. We'll be in Clarion, Pennsylvania, June 28th and 29th for Appalachian Mountain STOL. July 19th and 20th, Hartford, Wisconsin, just before the big air show in Oshkosh. It's a great one to stop by if you're heading up to EAA. Rocky Mountain STOL just after it, August 16th and 17th in Pinedale, Wyoming. September 6th and 7th will be in Ontario, Oregon, where Oregon Trail STOL. October 11th and 12th, back to Music City STOL Year 2, Gallatin, Tennessee. And then wrapping it up, November 1st, Sulphur Springs, Texas, for Lone Star STOL and the national finals of the 2024 National STOL season. Sulphur Springs, Texas, November 2nd. This organization cannot exist without all the volunteers that help bring everything together. And we would love you to, if you're interested in volunteering, you're in the area for Appalachian Mountain STOL or Sodbusters, volunteer registration is open. We'd also love to have you still at Moses Lake in a couple weeks. So go to nationalstol.com. Should be able to find something there about volunteering. Shoot us an email. We'd love to have you help out. We'd love to bring you into the family. Also, don't forget to vote. nationalstol.com/vote. nationalstol.com/vote to vote for your fan favorite. We've already seen a lot of fan favorites practice today. Can't wait to see a few more. And while we wait for practice to resume, let's talk about another one of our sponsors. That's Aero LED. Aero LEDs is an industry pioneer and leader of LED-based aerospace lighting. Designed and manufactured in Boise, Idaho, Aero LED's state-of-the-art LED aircraft lighting solutions are designed with the focus on performance, efficiency, and reliability. Tested for some of the most extreme operating conditions on the planet and far exceeding the performance and longevity of legacy lighting systems, they're ideal for use in experimental, certified, commercial, rotorcraft, ARFF, UAVs, space, and military applications. Aero LEDs serves every spectrum of the worldwide aviation market. So big thanks to them for helping us bring National STOL to you. Let's also talk about iFly EFB. iFly EFB is the complete EFB app for Android, iOS, and Windows, and has all the advanced features pilots want in the most intuitive flight planning and navigation solution on the market. The iFly EFB team brings together the perfect balance of our technology and real-world flight experience. iFly EFB says, fly your freedom. It's different up here. They're offering 3 prize packs, 1-year subscriptions at each event, which will rotate through the competition classes during the year. So we really appreciate them. If you're going to check out where we're at right now, load up iFly EFB. Take your iFly EFB app and load up Oscar Lima 42. That's where we're at. You can check that out. Would love to have you check that out. While we're talking about sponsors, let's talk about the annual sponsor list. These are all the companies that have helped us bring this to you and continue to support us. First, Ladd Gardner Insurance, Legend Aircraft, USA Trailers Direct, Sarasota Avionics and Maintenance, FlightHelmet.com, Flying Eyes, Lift Aviation, Aero LEDs, Red Tag Art, Legendary Aviation Coffee Company, iFly EFB. So huge thanks to them helping us bring National STOL to you both in Oklahoma and at your home. Again, if you're watching online while we take this short break, hit me up. Let's play Stump the Chump. You can let me know what questions you have about National STOL, and I'd love to answer them. Let's see here. Is this the first year for Oregon Trail STOL? Yes, Tasty Basie, it is. Thanks for commenting there. That's in just a little bit this season. And I'm joined now by the leggy and vivacious Eric Farewell, co-owner of National STOL, on the mic with me right now. Eric, how you doing today? What do you think of practice so far?
Oh, man, practice has been a blast to see just how these pilots can work their way through some extremely challenging conditions and, throw down some solid numbers. It's going to be a really exciting race tomorrow, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. It's surprising, but we are in Tornado Alley. Mm-hmm. And right now you look around outside, and yes, the flags are pointing different directions, but they're all kind of blowing the same way. And there looks to be no rain on the radar. Everything seems to be perfect. However, because we have a bunch of pilots and a whole bunch of beautiful airplanes here, we have been informed that there is a chance of a supercell.
Dun, dun, dun.
The earliest it would happen is around 5 p.m. So we want to let the pilots know that there are options for hanging in the area. If you want to make a departure during the practice, you're most welcome to do so. We have already messaged that out to all of our competitors, but we've got a lot of people who've flown in to watch, and we want to make sure they're aware of the potential risks as well, and we'll do our very best to mitigate them as always. But yeah, guys, there could be some bad weather in Tornado Alley. It's possible.
It is a possible thing, and thanks so much for that. We'll do our best to keep everyone updated on what the weather situation is. Again, a little sporty with the winds right now, but not a supercell yet, but good to keep tabs on things. And we've got our team of folks on the other side of this wall watching the weather. There's like 3 or 4 of them all doing computery things.
Computery things, indeed, indeed. But that said, what's been really fun about this event is we have so many volunteers coming out to create great content, including our friend Christine, who's on the field with a shirtless wonder. And I just want to say, Christine, what do you have there?
So this shirtless wonder is John McCardle, and he has made his way down here from more Tornado Alley, good old Nebraska.
Where you're from.
And exactly where I'm from. And tell us about the aircraft that you're flying.
Yes, I have a MAL M5 235. It has a turbo on it. It's actually the only one with a turbo on it in the world. Yeah, I got my first victory last competition. So finished second 3 times in a row and finally won.
Quite the competition there when it comes to Brandon Korn. You guys have a little rivalry going on. Now, since you did come off of that win, what have you been doing to maintain that status for this competition?
So I pulled out my front seat. I should have done that a long time ago, but I lost about 12 pounds right there. And then I put a smaller tail wheel on it to increase the angle of attack on takeoff. So I expect I'll perform better than what I did in Virginia.
Now, you did encounter a few issues this week. We talked to Brandon about that too. He had a couple too, but so you're not alone. But what exactly were you dealing with since Monday?
Yeah, so I went to get a little practice in with a smaller tail wheel because I honestly probably have 7 takeoffs and landings with that configuration. And saw some oil leaking, pulled the cowl, and saw oil coming out of my magneto. So that was Monday night, got it into the shop. They rebuilt the magneto, got it back on Wednesday, and then Thursday had to go through and try to find the pin in the engine. Put the magneto back on, and then did the run up this morning to make sure everything was good. But we're up till 10 o'clock last night trying to get it ready.
It's not one thing, it's another. So you feel like it's running well now and you're good to go?
Yeah, should be good to go. Like I said, I haven't had a ton of practice, but I didn't have any practice at Virginia either because my rudder trim cable started fraying. So I got that replaced the day before the competition as well.
Gotta love aviation and maintenance. So do you think you're gonna head out here today, or are you just gonna hold off until tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna head out here. I'm gonna drain some fuel. I just pulled the chair out. But this plane does pretty well in crosswinds. It's a heavy plane with short wings, so I think it'll be all right.
Cool, thanks, John. All right, back to you, Ryan.
Thanks so much, Christine and John, and yeah, the Shirtless Wonder. Maybe that'll be his new nickname during the broadcast tomorrow during competition. I say just lean into it. Lean into it, and maybe we name the plane that or something too. All right. Travis Meyer says, missing my Stoll family. It is a great family. Thank you so much, Travis, for that comment. And yeah, like Eric mentioned, we do have some severe weather potentially in the forecast later today, as early as the next hour or so. So we're keeping tabs on that. As such, I think practice is kind of slowed down for a little bit while people decide what to do with that information and see what we're going to do. But yes, looking like a good day tomorrow here at Patriot Air Park. And we've really enjoyed practice thus far. Let's look at some of the scores we've seen put down. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. I'll switch gears. Burstick saying, don't forget to throw that thumbs up on this broadcast, guys. Every like helps get this broadcast out to more people. Burstix knows a little bit about that. He's one of the hosts of E-Stol, and we've loved having him help bring E-Stol out to the various folks at home. And I've actually been able to share the mic with him on the E-Stol broadcast, and he's great. You should go watch him out on check him out on Twitch and YouTube and all those places. What a great dude. So let's look at the scores now here at practice while we watch. If I'm not mistaken, we've got someone wrenching on a prop there, and it's a MOAC, so we're probably getting the prop exactly right for competition tomorrow. That's Colin Kaniva wrenching on things. Colin, if you can hear me, give a little wave to that camera that's looking at your beautiful self. Can't be bothered. He can't be bothered. And there's a drone. You can see the drone flying and providing all sorts of great visuals. Love seeing that flying in formation with our aircraft when they are landing. Okay, let's look at the scores. Best takeoff so far of the day in practice, Pat McIntyre with a takeoff of 103 and a landing of looks like 87 or 67. Joel Milloway, 92. Okay, let's try that again. Let's try that again for scores. Here we go. We currently best takeoff run of practice. Pat McIntyre with a combined score of 190. Joel Milloway just behind him with a best score of 203. James Barkheimer from Ira Ann, Texas with a combined score of 220. Brady Brooks in the Cessna 150. Jeff McMahon after James Barkheimer with a combined score of 258. Tristan Nichols behind him. So that's kind of the top bit of stuff for practice session. The big one to watch is those top three, Pat McIntyre, Joel Milloway, and James Barkheimer with 190 feet, 203, and 220. James could pull an upset like he did back at Heritage Stoll. Let's look at the season standings now. In the adventure class, Keith Lang with a combined score of 33 points, followed by James with 29 points, and Jared Garrettson with 25 points. That's the top three of adventure class. Brian Shirley, who you heard from earlier today, talking to Christine, with 18 points, also tied for fourth. Adam Gordon with 18 points. Jeff McMahon with 17 points. Brian Steck, Colin Kaniva, and Luke Sport in the MOACs towards the bottom there, but they are the ones to watch. They are the heavy hitters. They're the ones that are so competitive. Backcountry class as of Heritage Stoll. John Luton, 33 points. Second place, current season standings, Jerry Clemens with 31 season points. Brad Crawford with 25 points. And Joel Dobson in fourth place with 18 points. Sport class. Check it out. Pat McIntyre, 44 points in first place. Joel Milloway with 25 season points, second place. And Justin Tisdale, who was a rookie a very short time ago. Actually, Pat McIntyre was a rookie very short time ago as well. Justin Tisdale with 24 points, tied with Ed Boyd with 24 points for third. Matt Vastine with 15 points. And Nick Ardillo in eighth. Touring class as of Heritage Stoll, Check out the tied for first. You just heard from John McCardle, the shirtless wonder, with 43 points. He's tied for first with Brandon Korn with 43 points. Jason Brown, 25 points. Jeff Abrams, 16 points in fourth place. And the unlimited class. So far, just 3 pilots willing to challenge the unlimited class. Dan Reynolds with 25 points. Justin Metters, 18 points. And Hal Stockman, 16 points. And Dan and Hal are here this weekend, so that's going to be a big shakeup for sure in the unlimited class. So that's the season standings. Brady on the boards is Cam Walton. Hey, Cam, I can't wait to see you this weekend. And let's go back to my friend Christine in the pits. We just saw Colin Kaniva wrenching on something.
That's right, Ryan. I am here with Colin Kaniva, and as a lot of people probably don't know, some of these guys fly in with different props, and then once they get here, they adjust it for the competition. That's what Colin was working on here. So Colin, just kind of tell us that whole process and why you do it.
Yeah, so a lot of us travel long distance, so you set a different angle on your blade so you can travel a little faster. Now we want higher RPM to grab more air to get off the ground shorter. We'll slow the plane down, but give us a lot more thrust. So all I was doing was changing the pitch on the props, and it's not an exact science because everywhere you go, it's different temperature, different moisture level, different humidity, different, everything. So yeah, we change the pitch. We'll go out, I'll static test it, see, I'm shooting for a certain RPM, and once I get that, then I think I'm ready to go.
So you are going to go ahead and try and go out and give it a shot then today?
Yep, I'm going to go out and I'll at least static test it, because I'd like to hit 2,500 static or 2,600 static, and then once I know that once I go full throttle tomorrow in competition, I'll get the pull I need.
All right, fair enough. We won't keep you from this so you can get it all finished up. Thanks, Colin.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Christine and Colin, for taking a moment to tell us what you're working on over there. Someone watching this with their aviation fire ignited, what's the next step to get involved in aviation? So if you want to learn to fly, I think that was from Travis Meyer. That was a great question from Travis Meyer. If you want to get started in flying, the best thing to do would be, first and foremost, just go out to the airport. Find your local airport. Go check out the local FBO. See who you can meet. Pilots, in case you haven't figured it out, love talking to other pilots about being a pilot. And they can give you some guidance about what it's like in the local area. But then after that, I think the next best thing to do is while you're visiting that FBO, take a discovery flight. A lot of flight schools have a more affordable, quick flight that can let you see if you think piloting or flying would be for you. So you go up on a discovery flight with a flight instructor. A lot of times they may even let you do the takeoff yourself with them following along on the controls. And so it's a really exhilarating way to see if flying is for you. I will tell you a little personal story. I used to get very motion sick during flying when I was first learning to fly. That's something that you can overcome and fight through. So don't be afraid if that happens to you. But while you are on that discovery flight, just soak it in. Know that it's the first of many flights, I'm guessing. And go there. Now, check this out. While we're getting ready to go, Pat McIntyre with the onboard camera. He's going to go up for another practice round. The other thing I would do if you're getting involved in aviation, you want to get started as a pilot of a full-size aircraft, I would look at the alphabet organizations. That's AOPA and EAA. They can really be a big help in you learning how to fly. They've got a lot of resources for you there. The other thing that they do is both of them, I believe, compile lists of scholarships. So there are a lot of aviation private pilot scholarships available for folks of all walks of life, and that's a way to make your aviation dream happen as well. So check out the scholarships, check out the alphabet organizations, go take a discovery flight, really do that. But first and foremost, just get out to the airport, say hi, let us know what you're thinking. Every pilot I know would love to take someone under their wing, even just for 30 minutes to provide some guidance on how to get started. If we're getting ready to practice here, the other thing I would say is if full-size aircraft isn't in the cards right now, either due to cost or time or both, there are so many other ways you can get involved in aviation. One of the sponsors of National STOL is Aviator Paramotor. That's a really cost-effective way to get into the sky. And then check out eSTOL, check out RC Aircraft, check that all out. A lot of ways to pursue your aviation dreams. All right, practice is underway again. Got some folks coming out for some runs here. Again, if you're just joining us, we're at Oscar Lima 42, that's Semper Fi landing at Patriot Air Park for Arklahoma STOL. Tristan Nichols on the line in that 2012 Carbon Cub from Sabetha, Kansas. Taxing up to the line. Our line judge there, getting those wheels in exactly the right place. Full throttle, tail up. Pulled just a tiny bit early, but that's a good one. Pat McIntyre, let's go on board with Pat. You can watch the footwork and the handwork. Notice what he does with the flaps. Tail high. Pulling the flaps, pulling it into the air. Well timed for Pat McIntyre. Here's Luke Strandland in the 2009 Murphy Super Rebel, all the way from Mora, Minnesota. That's a big plane. You heard Russ talking about the density altitude factor. And when you've got a heavy plane, that's the thing you really got to think about. Here's Joel Milloway now in the Tiger Shark. Coming off short for Joel Milloway here in practice. And you can see here we're on board with Pat McIntyre, number 40, as he's in the traffic pattern. And on base to final, we have Tristan Nichols in that Carbon Cub. We'll see if he continues to do that low approach. Yeah, the lower approach that a lot of the pilots are doing today to combat the crosswind and to get more attuned to the turbulence from the trees and the hills here at the air park. Holding it off, flaps down. Good over the line, he only gave up a couple feet, heavy on the brakes, stick full back. Somewhere around 150 feet for Tristan Nichols. Here comes Pat McIntyre, holding it off, just hovering it off. And it's a scratch for Pat. I'm guessing he's not too excited about that, but it's practice, so he'll be okay. Getting the tail up anyway for a little showmanship. Luke Strandland now on the short final, kind of looking like a helicopter. Bella Lucellis is watching from West Texas. My husband is in the pits, has a shirt and sticker for Interview Christine. So, Christine, if you can hear me, look for a gentleman who has gifts. All right, Luke coming in short as well. Getting it straightened out a little bit on the left side of the runway there. That's an airplane you can literally feel land here in the broadcast booth. Joel Milloway taking that bite out of the crosswind. See how he's coming in on an angle there? Trying to get more headwind on the airplane. And then straightening it out. Getting it stopped. Stick full back for that aerodynamic braking and to keep the tail down while he brakes. As those aircraft reposition, Trevor Aldridge now back in the Super Patriot. Trevor taking off, I'm guessing more to depart for the weather, based on where he took off. Has a passenger in the back, actually. So based on what Eric shared with us about the weather, some pilots probably heading to hangars nearby, just in case. And here go our practice competitors back taxiing along the line. While they do that, I want to talk about Sarasota Avionics. Sarasota Avionics, the long-term partner of National STOL. They're your authorized Garmin dealer and the #1 aircraft avionics installing dealer in the nation for panel mount GPS avionics systems. They've got upfront pricing, superior service, and expert consultants. Sarasota Avionics is your one-stop shop for your next avionics upgrade. And now let's go out to the field with Christine Boggy.
Hey Ryan, I'm here with Eddie Sanchez, and we just saw Colin adjusting his prop.
Yes.
Now you're over here working on yours. What do you got going on?
Well, it seems like we're always working on something, right, to make it better. But for me, it's not mechanical. I'm just draining all of the 93 octane gas out and putting in race gas. It's 110 octane. So from there, I can flip a switch in the cockpit to bump the tune up to a higher horsepower. And we need that 110 octane to be able to run it at those higher horsepowers.
And can you give us a little comparison on how it runs for like one type of fuel versus the other?
Yep, so I'm running probably low 200s, maybe around 210 horsepower. And then with the race gas, I'm up to 270 or 280, which is a significant difference for something like this, so yeah.
And you're going to get out there and practice with this now
Yep,
then?
I'm going to get out there. I practiced a few times with the race gas. It didn't help me with the car gas. And then I was really just focusing on the landings. Now I need to get out there and focus on the takeoffs, and that's where the horsepower really comes in, because it's not really needed for the landings. But for the takeoffs, I need to practice those. So that's
Sounds good. All right, thanks, Eddie.
All right, you bet.
Back to you, Ryan.
Thanks so much, Christine. And if John McCardle is the shirtless wonder, then Eddie Sanchez is the mustachioed wonder in my book. There goes Luke Strandland off in the Super Rebel. Joel Milloway on the line in the Tiger Shark. And that plane is just so light. That Ranza 7, especially the way that Joel's got it configured. And we've got a newcomer to practice now coming to the line. Off nice and well. Love the landing gear on those Highlanders. Christian Griwan in that 2021 Just Aircraft Super STOL. all the way from Linden, Tennessee. And here comes Tristan. Good over the line. You can see Tristan's getting that dialed in on the braking action. You got to modulate that just right. And if we're going to see anything with rookies like Tristan, this is his first competition. He's in the rookie class. On a tail dragger, that is the thing to watch out for, right? You got to modulate those brakes just right so you don't put the nose in the dirt. Here's Pat McIntyre. Good over the line. Keeping that tail up. Looks like Pat McIntyre improved on that last run. That's his best one so far of practice, down to 187 feet. Luke Strandlin taxiing back to parking. Which should put Joel Milloway as the one on short final. Again, he's really favoring that left side of the runway, trying to cut into the crosswind. Little bit of a touch before the line in my book, but they're calling it good. That right main looked like it touched the ground to me, but if it's good, it's good. Christian now on final approach with a scratch on the left side of that runway there. Just Aircraft Super Stol. And it's time for them to all taxi back and do it again. Want to hop into the chat now and see who else is saying hi. Preston saying, looks like a scorcher out there. Y'all stay hydrated. That's a great reminder if you're here in Pocola, Oklahoma right now. Make sure you get some water on board. Here's Tristan. Well timed. Right around 125 feet based on where the judges are reading. Pat McIntyre on the line. That plane looks more and more epic every time I see it. Grabbing that flap handle, putting the nose down, taking a bite, nursing those flaps off. Joel Milloway right behind him. These two are the ones to watch tomorrow. Very different approach for Joel Milloway. You can see he just lets it float off. He's got it tuned in just right. He can just get it to float off nice and short without taking that aggressive bite that most of the tail dragger pilots do. Here's Christian Griwan now at the line in the Highlander. Love watching the tires just droop down out of the Highlanders there. Really fun to see. Got a couple more props spinning over in the pit area. So we'll watch them get ready to go. It'll be really exciting to see. And I just want to say thank you so much. If you're watching the practice session here of National STOL Arklahoma 2024, we're so happy to have you. And we really appreciate you taking the time to share this with all your friends and support us any way you can. We're now on board with Pat McIntyre. Pat, if you can hear us, give us a little wave. Yeah, buddy. Tristan, just a few feet off the ground, holding it off. Pretty well done and dialed for that. He could maybe save a couple of feet. Could land just a couple of feet earlier, but pretty well lined up. He's stopping again around that 150-foot mark. Pat, a little bit of a float. Fighting that crosswind, dropping it in, letting those gear work. The helium, as he was joking about before, doing its work. Joel Milloway now in the Tiger Shark coming in as well. Low below the trees. Scratch, but again, very graceful. It's a different, slightly different technique between the two S7s that you're seeing right now. Christian on approach with the nose nice and high. Making those gear do the work. And he's going to give it a little bit of goose to the right there while he gets it stopped. And by get it stopped, I mean continues to taxi. Want to say thanks to Preston for the shout out for all the folks on the other side of the wall and out on the cameras. Preston says, shout out to the production crew. Y'all are doing an awesome job. I agree, Preston. Everyone's killing it today. We're all working our best to bring this show to you, especially in the heat. All right, here's Christian again, almost to the line. Taxi a little bit more. Taxi a little bit more. Bring it up. Bring it up. Bring it up a little bit more. A little bit more. Close enough, I guess. While we're waiting for folks to depart, I want to go back. One thing I forgot to mention for our sponsor, Flying Eyes Optics. You can save 10% on a new pair of Flying Eyes by using the coupon code National STOL. National STOL. Next time you are in the market for high quality eyewear, save 10%. Helps us out too. Christian on the line waiting for release from the air bosses. And I see Dan Reynolds and Hal Stockman with their motors turning. And if you're just tuning in, we did get a little bit of a warning about potential severe weather in the area in the next hour or so. There is a front coming through that's currently, looks like, just east of Tulsa, but no storms attached to it yet. So we will have to see how it goes. Maybe a little bit of hail up in the Pittsburgh/Joplin area of Missouri. But down here in Pensacola, we're just outside Fort Smith. Nothing yet of concern. Here's Christian Griwan. Timing it pretty well, maybe just a tad bit early on the departure. Christian Fisher now in November 8-1 Lima Delta, the 2019 Carbon Cub EX2 from Cub Crafters from Dodge City, Kansas off. And I'm excited to see this aircraft. We haven't seen this fly yet. Looks like another S7. That's James Johnson off short for a first takeoff. He'll be in the rookie class tomorrow. From Byers, Colorado. He's a farmer there in eastern Colorado with 20 years of light aircraft experience, but this is his first STOL competition. Here's Hal Stockman now in the lawnmower. Sub 100 feet. And this is the moment I've been waiting for. And he teased he might not do it, but let's watch Dan Reynolds now in the Chinook, the other competitor against Hal in the Unlimited class this weekend. Also off sub 100. He looked like Dan thought it might take off a little bit sooner. Had to take 2 bites, but 2 bites in that plane, not a big deal. It's so efficient at flying, particularly slow. Here's Christian Griwan with the higher approach. We haven't seen that much today. Everyone kind of shifted to a low approach. Nose real high, tail down low. Good over the line. We have another aircraft turning final. Nice landing in the Carbon Cub there. Maybe 150, 152. Pat McIntyre just walked by the booth. He's still currently with the best score in practice. Here's the new S7, James Johnson, the American farmer. Got those vortex generators on the front half of the wing. They're along the leading edge. That helps the air stay connected to the wing. Hal Stockman on short final now. Everyone's watching with bated breath. Stopped short. 50 feet, maybe? With the classic Hal Stockman engine kill. And now, the Canadian helicopter pilot, not actually, here's Dan Reynolds doing his best helicopter impression. Good over the line and stopped. It's going to be a tight one between the two this weekend. Christian Fisher now taxiing back. James Johnson behind him. Hal Stockman behind him. Dan Reynolds behind him. We watched Dan Reynolds taxi by. Obviously, there's one big difference to his aircraft, and that is the pusher prop. And if you want to do a little bit of research, if you're a true av geek and you want to dig into it, the pusher prop compared to a tractor configuration where the prop is in the front does actually change the way the aircraft behaves when you apply power. It'll change the pitch of the aircraft differently than the way the tractor, like traditional configuration, does. So that's fun to watch. The other thing that we've seen Dan do, although he has to be careful because the rules kind of prohibit it, but he can actually kind of lawn dart in sometimes. He's got to be careful about the nose of the aircraft touching the ground, though. That would be against the rules if I'm not mistaken. Here's Christian Fisher. Flaps down, tail down. Somewhere around the 130 mark, give or take. James Johnson on the line. Pretty centered up. Normally you'll see pilots kind of pick a side, but wind looks to be mostly down the runway now. Hal Stockman lining up. Sub 100 feet. I'm guessing maybe 125. I don't know. The parallax is bad over here. I'll let the judges do it. Dan Reynolds now taxiing up to the line in the Chinook. Stick forward, stick back. He's off real short. That was a real clean one for Dan Reynolds. And let's look at the practice standings now. Hal Stockman and Dan Reynolds unseating Pat from his best scores so far, with first and second place in practice. Dan Reynolds up front, Hal Stockman number 2. Let's go down to Christine in the pits. She's got another pilot ready to chat with us. We'll go back to Christine in just a second. Looks like we had a mic issue there. Here comes Christian Fisher in that Carbon Cub EX2. Really graceful, well-timed landing. kind of everything you could hope for. Down around the 170, maybe 165 foot mark for Christian. James Johnson on approach. Good over the line, bouncing down. A lot of energy to dissipate for James Johnson there. Getting it stopped. Hal Stockman floating like a butterfly. Little burst of throttle to keep it off. Good over the line. Getting it stopped. In the maybe in the 85-foot mark there for Hal Stockman. And Dan Reynolds putting on an absolute clinic in slow flight. You can hear the throttle working. Watch the rudder. Dancing on that rudder just a little bit. And it fell out from him, but he captured it with a little burst of throttle and short for Dan Reynolds. Again, we saw him land in 10 feet at Swamp STOL this year. And that completes another heat of practice here in Pocola, Oklahoma at Patriot Air Park. You've been watching this whole time. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ryan Dombrowski. You can find me online at Super Aero Flight or Super Aero. Just Google Super Aero. You're going to find it that way. You can watch me do all sorts of aviation adventures and interviews. We are gearing up for what's going to be an excellent competition tomorrow. We've got a number of grudge matches we'll be following between various pilots. We already saw Joe Milloway and Pat McIntyre with the S7 battle. We've got Hal Stockman and Dan Reynolds showing you what's what right now in the unlimited class. I want to put in perspective the landings you're seeing today. For all these aircraft, they're quite short. The average person, the average pilot, let's put in perspective. If you look at the Chinook that Dan is flying, their book number for takeoff distance is 200 feet. He's putting down numbers a quarter of that. There's Christian Fisher. By the way, Dan's aircraft average empty weight of only 500 pounds. I'd be curious to get Hal Stockman's S7 on the scale, see how it compares. Two very light airplanes. Hal Stockman, I've always felt like, uses the Lotus approach, the lightness approach. There we go. James Johnson off nicely. Pat McIntyre's on the line watching him. Probably going to give him some pointers tonight during the around the campfire, so to speak. Here's Hal Stockman now, full throttle. You're a little goose of nitrous. Wheels off. Dan Reynolds, number 9. in the Chinook. Tasty Basie says, thanks, Ryan and crew, for your hard work. Appreciate being able to watch live with everyone. We appreciate you watching, Tasty. Thank you so much for sharing it out and being such a positive force in the chat today. We hope you tune in tomorrow. And it's been a fun day here at practice. Things are kind of continuing here with these heavy-hitting unlimited competitors, but we've seen such a spread of aircraft this whole time, from giant Super Rebels down to the tiny Chinook, and we haven't seen it fly today, but tomorrow in the rookie class, I believe we even have what you would normally consider an ultralight type aircraft. Merle Potter bringing a 2023 Quicksilver MX. I'm excited to see that fly. Merle, by the way, I'm reading his pilot bio, says, my wife is understanding and patient about aviation pursuits. That airplane, let's put it in perspective. That airplane, when you see it fly later, 65 horsepower compared to other airplanes in a class with 180. Here's Christian now on the line. It's good. And you see him working to get those landing distance numbers turned down. James Johnson over the line again, bringing in a lot more speed than he probably needs to, but he's got to get that dialed in. Hal Stockman next up. Good over the line for Hal. He's got that motor turned off. Don't want any extra foot-pounds or inches of thrust. And if Hal's down, that can only mean one thing. Dan Reynolds is behind him. Dan's still in the air, taking his time. Good over the line for Dan, getting it nice and short. He doesn't need to stop. He knows what's up. Lear Flyer 45 says, I was here earlier as my father helped with the air park. We are very pleased to have the STOL here. Hope to see you all here again next year. We would love that, Lear Flyer 45. We would absolutely love to be back. I only got in just this morning due to some travel complications, and I got to tell you, in the short time I've been here, I've been really impressed. And it is such a beautiful, I'm actually going to take a picture right now. It is such a beautiful view from the broadcast trailer right now. All the trees in the distance. And I'm on camera. I just got told, there you go. I'll take a picture of you at home. Here, you take a picture of me. I'll take a picture of you. You're just a camera, but you're a good-looking camera. Love it. We are green flag. We're ready to go. Looks like we've got a aircraft departing now, taking the full length of the runway. That's important to mention. National STOL's runways, the race course, are always a very small portion of the runway that we are usually using. So that transient aircraft is off, which means we are back for more practice flying here at Arklahoma STOL. Just checking in with the race control crew, still keeping tabs on this potential weather issue. So far, nothing cropping up. Some forecasts changing. Some additional information maybe that we'll have some. So some of the forecast products we're looking at now saying that we'll have potentially some rain at 8 and also at 10 p.m. with light winds. But we obviously still keeping tabs on everything to make sure that things are nice and safe for everybody. But as of right now, nothing is developing as we get closer to that 5 o'clock initial forecast question. And just a little bit longer of practice to go. We've got 30 minutes left of practice for competitors to come make sure they're ready to go for tomorrow. Edward Boyd from Appleton, Tennessee, idling on the line. And I think this, if someone wants to record this and turn it into an app, the sound I'm hearing right now would be so comforting if I were to be trying to sleep right now. There's nothing like the soothing tones of Rotax after Rotax after Rotax after Lycoming. What else we got out there? Another Rotax. Oh, we even have the little Quicksilver taxing to the line now. We've got a full complement of different styles of aircraft for you to watch here in the last 30 minutes of practice. Race control just clarifying that, the Quicksilver line, also known for its ultralight aircraft. This one in particular is not an ultralight aircraft. It's experimental home-built aircraft, amateur built, and so that's why it can participate in this class versus an ultralight, like a pure ultralight type aircraft. Here's race number 98, an S7. I'm hearing 182 from the line judges on that takeoff. That was Brandon Rice in the 2009 Rans S7. And here's Merle Potter in the 2023 Quicksilver MX Super. It's a bird. It actually is a plane. It's a mall. which means the shirtless wonder's back. John McCardle in the mall, entering practice for the first time today. And there goes race 66. Ed Smith off into the wild blue yonder. And we've got a pretty full practice heat. Matt Rutherford in the chat says, hope to do this one day. Matt, we'd love to have you. You just got to come out and get proficient in your aircraft if you fly. Matt, we'd love to learn more about the flying you do. If you don't fly yet, I gave a whole thing, a whole lesson on how to get started flying a little bit ago in the stream. But we'd love to have you in this community as part of this family. Definitely pursue it. It's a thing that's worth doing. But if you do fly, all you need to do to get into National STOL is practice, practice, practice. Just become proficient in your airplane, doing those short field techniques. As you can see, we've got everything from Cessna 150s to Quicksilvers. Scratch there for the Blue Beauty. Another S7. This might be a record for the most S7s in one competition for National STOL. Here's Brandon Rice getting it down and stopped. Good over the line, according to the judge. We're going to call it 178, maybe 180. And here's what I'm excited to see for the first time today, the Quicksilver coming in low and slow. Off the throttle, good down, and now just heavy on the brakes for the Quicksilver. That thing is cool. Yeah, I think maybe I want. I would fly. I want one of those. That looks fun. I guess I need to get a bigger hangar. Okay, here's John McCardle now, currently tied for first in the season standings in the touring class. Nose high, down with a scratch. And the 170 is down. That takes a lot of time to polish. And I am so excited because my eyes must be deceiving me. A good friend just showed up in the booth. We'll let him get situated. as we get ready for 1 or 2 final rounds of practice, I'm guessing. I have the fabulous and wonderful Cam Walton with me, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, finally made it.
Where are you coming in from today?
Coming in from home, from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay. Are we actually, is this a close event for you, like compared to
This
most?
is a really close event. Yeah, this is only 2 hours. Normally it's at least 5 to 12, somewhere between there.
Cam, by the way, not only has he joined me on the mic a couple times, he is also one of the photographers for National Stole, cranking out all the awesome photos that you see all over social and things like that. So we've become friends over the years following this ridiculousness, and I wanted to show you, look at that off-roading Quicksilver. We've never seen anything like that before.
That is pretty crazy.
I'd like to fly that. I think I don't know, I may be a little scared.
I think it would be pretty awesome.
I think it would
honestly.
be awesome. I think it would be awesome.
I know that guy, Merrill.
You know him?
Yeah, he comes out to Arkansas. Whenever we have an event out at Birds, he's always out there. He either brings that or his RV.
His other aircraft is an RB6?
Yes, I believe so. Really cool paint job on it. It's actually landed at some gravel bars before, too, surprisingly.
So he's used it for bush flying already.
Yeah.
That's great. His resume is great. Here we go now. That was Ed Boyd in we gotta come up with a nickname for that plane. The Blue Beauty. The blue something.
Something beautiful, because it is beautiful.
And now here's the S7, and I was saying before you got here, this is Brandon Rice from Louisburg, Kansas. We've got, like, the battle of the S7s this weekend. We've got, I think, 5 of them? Maybe more. I don't know. I lost count. We got a lot of them. Brandon is from Kansas, and he transformed his S7 into the ultimate fun machine with his friends Jared and Brady over at Garrettson Aviation. Here's John McCardle now. That mall, we heard Brandon Korn talking about the mall, and he said very plainly, he said, it should outperform me. But so far it hasn't. And I liked that.
I like that too. Sounds good.
I can't say what Burstix said in the chat, but he said something about you, an expletive, and then said that you're an awesome dude.
He's an awesome dude too.
Yeah, Burstix is great. Again, doing that e-stole stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to have to join him one of these days.
Well, here's something. Maybe we could do this together. So, do you flight sim at all?
I don't, but I'm slowly getting into it.
So, maybe get your sim up and running, and then you and I can compete against each other in an e-stole event.
All right.
From the comfort of our basements.
An announcer's rivalry.
Yes.
All right.
I like that. Here's Merrill now in the Quicksilver. Look at that thing. That's so cool. That is so cool. A little bit over 100 feet looking like in the Quicksilver.
That's awesome.
In terms of e-stole, they were doing the e-stole event for Moses Lake last weekend. I was watching kind of the tail end of it. And I said, I would love to compete, but because I'm the announcer for this part, and you guys can pick the airplane. And what they voted on was the GB.
Okay.
That was such a great approach. I didn't even hear him come in. Ed Boyd there. The GB, I don't know how to explain it to people who aren't from the aviation world. If it's new to you, just Google GEEBEE aircraft. It is not a thing that should be anywhere near a sandbar.
Yeah, no.
It's a very specific aircraft.
Very specific. It barely looks like it can be airborne.
That's true. There we go. Good landing for Brandon Rice. So you have a champ.
Yeah.
When are you bringing a champ to National STOL?
Whenever I and it are ready.
Okay. Okay. Because it would have been, well, you said it was about a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
It would have been a 2-hour flight.
Probably. Somewhere somewhere close to there.
with the wind. Here's John McCardle getting a little dirty there. Getting it cleaned up and getting it stopped. Now, the eSTOL folks are in the chat right now, and they're saying, let's get you guys in. Heck yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Gauntlet dropped. I mean, the real gauntlet to drop is for you to fly and compete in your champ and for me to come do a round with my 172.
Oh, yeah.
We could do it. We've been telling everyone about how they should do it. .170 Bravo model coming in for a stop-a-rooney. And I just saw Ed posted on social media that he's been, like, he has to basically constantly polish the aircraft, particularly in the summer. And so there is a picture of him just kind of covered in polishing compound. And he was like, you know, I kind of enjoy it. I zone out a little bit, and I just, that's the polishing noise. Okay, here's Merrill now. Let's see this landing. Good over the line.
All right.
It looks like there is a little bit of suspension in that nose wheel, but not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
And it doesn't even look like there's any suspension on the mains. So he's really feeling the... Yeah, bouncing around there. As if on cue, right? I believe Trevor Aldridge back from maybe what was a sightseeing flight in the Patriot. That's a cool paint job.
It is a very cool paint job.
And now I'm seeing some new aircraft with their props turning. 13 minutes left in practice. I wonder if this is Nick Ardillo taxiing up. I've said that before, and it was Christian. See if this is Nick. It also, frankly, could be... No, it wouldn't be Colin Kaniva because he's in the MOAC this weekend. I believe it's going to be Nick. I don't know. My money's on Nick. It's the right shade of red.
Yeah, it is the right shade of red.
How do you... We sound like such big nerds right now. It's the right Pantone color.
There we go.
Look at this. Brandon Korn finally coming out to practice. Scott Sweet finally coming out to practice. Brian Shirley finally coming out to practice. Okay, we're saving the excitement for the end here. So let's compare when you watch Brandon Korn. Let's compare to what John McCardle was doing in the mall.
Okay, yeah.
Brandon's at a weight disadvantage in that aircraft. It's a much heavier airplane. I think, am I right? Nick Ardillo? It looks like Nick Ardillo to me.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah, Nick Ardillo, captain for a major airline. Does all the airline flying, and this is his fun flying. Was nice enough to give me a ride in his Carbon Cub last year. There he goes, off nice and well. He flies that thing with the precision of an airline pilot and is really good at the very regimented about his checklist. Here's Scott Sweet in the Belanca. That plane's a working plane on his ranch. He's told me stories about putting, and I quote, putting a beef in the back. Brian Shirley now in the MOAC. Legend Aircraft. Brandon Korn in the 205. That is a loud airplane.
That is a very
And I don't know
loud
if you noticed, Cam, we're like close.
Yeah.
We are close to the action. Nick Ardillo should be on approach now. I wanted to mention one of our sponsors, Legend Aircraft. You've got Brian Shirley in the MOAC in the pattern right now. That's made by that company. They continue to be the most coveted American manufactured sport aircraft. They're a modern legend. They're all new factory-built aircraft designed in the spirit of the legendary Piper J3 and PA-18 Super Cubs. Here's Nick now. Little burst of throttle to get him over the line. It gives him a little bit of energy, but look, he's stopping nice and short. Getting a nice little formation set up here. Scott Sweet over the line, good. Bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. Windows closing on him there. I don't know, I haven't looked close enough, but on like J3s, you know, there's that clip, clip that holds it up. I don't know if it's the same type of thing in the Belancas. Do you, in the Champ, it's like a car door style, but can you roll the windows down?
I can slide the windows back.
You slide them back.
Yeah. I have a seaplane door as well on mine, so mine's a little special.
Brian Shirley, good over the line, getting that tail up while he's heavy under braking. Everyone's trying to avoid that mud pile in the middle of the runway there.
It's not like the aircraft can't handle it. They just don't want dirty airplanes, apparently.
Well, Trevor was here earlier today and was talking about how, you know, that mud is less grippy than grass.
No.
Here's Brandon Korn now in the 205, this monster of an airplane for a competition like this. That's a scratch for Brandon Korn. I actually want to look at so we have Luke Strandland's here in the Murphy Super Rebel.
Okay.
And that's a big airplane. I wonder which one's bigger.
That's a good question. Murphy is a hoss of an aircraft.
Brandon was like, I'm ready to go. getting ready for another round of practice with just a few minutes left on the practice clock. Here's Nick Ardillo. Any thoughts on Nick Ardillo's flying style as you've watched him and photographed him?
Not anything in particular. I mean, I think he does an excellent job, especially compared to the other guys and the other Carbon Cubs. I mean, they all pretty much have a great style, especially with how that aircraft performs on its own.
Little early for Brian Shirley there. And when we say that, you'll notice, folks, if you're not tuned in before, what you'll see is the airplane isn't quite ready to fly when the tail hits the ground on those tail draggers. Here's Brandon Court. Wah, it's loud. Brandon knows how to really make that thing fly. It's so big, so heavy. Getting ready to go. By the way, just on a personal note, I just got a text from my wife. She says there's a hornet trapped in our daughter's bathroom. And that is normally a thing that Dad would take care of. But I am not there. I am here. So if you're watching this, Kristen, I am sorry. And you could just leave it in there until I get back. Just keep the door shut. Shove some towels underneath the bottom of the door and just let it do its thing. It'll die eventually. I'll come take care.
A live hornet.
A live hornet. Yeah, not an F-18 hornet in the bathroom.
Okay, not a die-cast model.
No, like a real hornet. Okay, Nick Ardillo now. Higher approach, making those gear work. And going to go over that side of the runway a little bit. Scott Sweet now with the lower approach style. On final approach. Getting it stopped almost right in front of the booth, somewhere around the 225 mark. That's a 1974 Belanca Scout, and I always think the names of the Belancas are so goofy. It's the 8 GCBC. How do you keep them all straight?
You need a degree in them.
Big bit of throttle there for Brian Shirley in the MOAC. Saved him from the scratch. Down around 170. We have a really good view of this this one chunk of the race course. Brandon Korn bringing her in. If I'm not mistaken, Brandon made every competition last year.
Yep, every single one.
That's something. That's a lot of air miles. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of air miles too.
He's got that whistle, that nice whistle to his prop. And practice should end in the next 2 minutes, we're seeing. I don't know if they're going to let him do one more run and call. So we got one more circuit for practice here at Arklahoma STOL here at Patriot Air Park. Now, you can school me on this because you're from around here. I've been saying Pocala, Oklahoma.
I'm probably saying it wrong too. I say Picola.
Picola.
But that's
No, you're
wrong.
probably right. I'm from Wisconsin.
I mean, I'm from Arkansas, so.
Yeah, but it's Arklahoma.
Yeah,
We're on the border. No, wait. Pocola? No, Pocola.
Picola.
Picola. I feel like I do this every time. Every National Stole event, once a month, I'm at someplace going, am I saying the name of the town right? Picola. Picola. You say Picola, I say Pocola. Picola. I like Picola.
I like what's right.
Whatever's right. Someone will have to fill us in later today. Okay, here
Somebody
we
in the chat.
Yeah, in the chat. Someone phonetically spell it out. Nick Ardillo giving it the beans. Scott Sweet on the line, getting ready to go. Scott Sweet giving it the beef. Unfortunately, I don't have another joke to make. Brian Shirley not going to go early. He's actually off pretty short there for Brian Shirley. And here's Brandon Korn in the 205. Bounce there for him, knocked it right off the cob for Brandon Korn. Nothing. Nothing.
It took me a second.
Okay, here's Nick Ardillo coming in on final for his last landing of practice here in Oklahoma at Arkansas 2024. A lot of brake fade for Nick Ardillo today. Or maybe he just didn't want to hit the mud. Russ Keith is walking by, and I'm realizing that I still have not become a card-carrying member of Airplanes and Coffee like I promised him the last time I saw him, which was in Texas last year. Here's Scott Sweet over the line, bouncing a little bit on the left side, straightening it out. Stick fullback. Good to go. That's Scott Sweet. Who do we have left? We've got Brandon Korn at the back. Brian Shirley.
Oh.
Nice high alpha. Approach there for him, getting it all on the gear, getting it straightened out, and stop. That's a very respectable landing for Brian Shirley. And last but certainly not least, Brandon Korn in the 205. Last landing of practice here at Arklahoma. What a cool shot.
Yeah, it is awesome.
And a scratch for Brandon Korn. So that completes practice today here at Arklahoma. Remember, go to nationalstol.com/vote, nationalstol.com/vote to vote for your favorite pilot today and tomorrow. Remember, the pilot that actually gets the most votes wins a prize. And if you're in the general Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, what other states are? Kansas. Yeah, just come on down.
Yeah.
Come on down. It's going to be a great show tomorrow here at Patriot Air Park, Semper Fi Landing. Would love to have you. Hopefully things have dried out a little bit by then, although honestly it's just a few wet spots here and there. You guys know when we want to go live tomorrow. And we have a pretty thick roster of pilots. We have 43 pilots out of the 50 that were signed up. That is a huge amount for a big first-time event like this. So that's going to be really cool. Make sure you go to nationalstol.com to figure out where you can find us. If you want to find us on YouTube, you want to find us on Facebook, you want to find us on Discord, and that's where you'll find the streams for tomorrow posted tomorrow morning. Very excited to have you. Cam, any closing thoughts now that you're here in Pensacola?
Man, I'm excited to be here. Can't wait for tomorrow. Can't wait to see everybody flying. I mean,
who do you have anyone that's a favorite for you to? I know they're all your children are your favorite, but who's your favorite?
Oh, well, Russ is my favorite. I mean, Airplanes and Coffee is my favorite, but Patrick is definitely my favorite. Joel and Brandon and Jerry. I mean, I could keep naming names.
You just named like 10% of the field.
Man.
No, I don't know. Yeah, they're all. It's going to be super fun to watch. Burstic says, later, guys, great show. Thank you for watching. If you're in the crowd, if you're in the online audience, thank you so much. This is Cam Walton, the fabulous photographer. Look him up at, where can they find you?
Cam Walton Images on Facebook.
Rock on. Cam Walton Images on Facebook. I'm Ryan Dombrowski. Check me out, Super Aero Flight on Instagram. We'd love to come chat with you there. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. We will see you tomorrow. It's not Saturday yet. Have a fantastic Friday. Rest of your Friday. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Fly safe.
The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. With each new adventure, another page is written, another story etched upon the soul. It is time to embrace the uncharted, the extraordinary. It's not the years in your life that count, but the life in your years.
At Pappy Arrow, we take pride in being the curators of aviation with our line of high-quality washes and waxes. Proudly made in the USA, we believe in preserving our aircraft to be passed down to the next generation of aviators and caretakers. But our mission goes far beyond the horizon. That's why we are proud to dedicate 10% of every sale towards aviation scholarship programs that empower and uplift the next generation of pilots. Visit us today at pappyarrow.com and get the best fly. Use the coupon code NationalStol for 15% off at checkout.